Hello, future medical professionals. Welcome to an exciting journey through the human body. Today, we are diving into Class 11 Biology, specifically Chapter Excretory Products and their Elimination. Our focus: the disorders that can affect this vital system. We'll explore these conditions across 4 levels of complexity, from easy fundamentals to hardcore competitive insights. Get ready to uncover the mysteries of kidney health and disease. Let's start with the basics. What happens when your body's waste disposal system, your kidneys, don't work as they should? We'll look at some common issues in an easy-to-understand way. Our first common disorder is glomerulonephritis. Imagine the tiny filters in your kidneys, called glomeruli, becoming inflamed. This often happens after infections, like a common strep throat. When these filters are damaged, they can't do their job properly, letting blood and protein leak into your urine. You might notice swelling, especially in your face or ankles, and your blood pressure could rise. It's a clear sign your body is struggling to clean itself. Next, we have renal calculi, more commonly known as kidney stones. These are like tiny, hard pebbles made of minerals and salts that form inside your kidneys. They can cause excruciating pain as they try to pass through the narrow urinary tract. Think of calcium oxalate stones as a common culprit. If your kidneys fail to remove waste and balance fluids, that's renal failure. This can be sudden or develop slowly. It means toxins build up, leading to symptoms like fatigue and swelling, and often requires serious medical intervention like dialysis or a transplant. Time to test your understanding. Think about these questions. First, what is the main characteristic you'd associate with glomerulonephritis? Second, can you name 2 common symptoms someone might experience if they have kidney stones? And finally, what essential function do the kidneys lose during renal failure? Pause here, jot down your answers, and let's see how well you grasp the easy concepts. Ready to go a little deeper? Now that you have the basics, let's explore these disorders with more detail, understanding their types, causes, and how doctors diagnose them. Let's take a closer look at glomerulonephritis. This inflammation of the glomeruli can be acute, appearing suddenly and often reversible, or chronic, leading to gradual, progressive kidney damage. It's frequently triggered by an immune response, sometimes following a bacterial infection like streptococcus, or in the context of autoimmune diseases such as lupus. The inflammation damages the glomerular basement membrane, making it leaky. Doctors diagnose it through urine tests, blood work, and sometimes a kidney biopsy to understand the extent and type of damage. Moving on to renal calculi, or kidney stones. These solid masses form from crystals in the urine. Did you know they come in different types? Most are calcium oxalate, but you can also find uric acid, struvite, and even rare cystine stones. Factors like dehydration, diet high in certain substances, and genetics play a big role in their formation. The pain, known as renal colic, is severe, often accompanied by blood in the urine. Treatment ranges from simply drinking more water for small stones to using shock waves, lithotripsy, or even surgery for larger ones. Finally, let's distinguish between acute and chronic kidney failure. Acute kidney injury, or AKI, is a sudden, rapid loss of kidney function, often reversible if caught early. Think severe dehydration or blood loss as causes. Chronic kidney disease, or CKD, is a gradual, irreversible decline over months or years, commonly caused by long-standing conditions like diabetes and hypertension. CKD is staged based on how much the kidneys can filter. While AKI focuses on treating the immediate cause, CKD requires long-term management, often leading to dialysis or a kidney transplant in its final stages. All right, it's time for some medium-level challenges. First, how would you differentiate between acute and chronic glomerulonephritis based on their progression? Second, Can you list 3 different types of renal calculi based on their chemical composition? Third, explain how hypertension or high blood pressure can actually lead to chronic kidney disease. Fourth, what specific diagnostic test is considered crucial for confirming the exact type of glomerulonephritis? And finally, describe the primary mechanism by which kidney stones cause such intense pain. Take your time to formulate your answers. Now, let's elevate our understanding to the hard level. We'll delve into the intricate mechanisms, advanced diagnostic techniques, and the serious complications associated with these excretory disorders. At the hard level, we analyze the pathophysiology of glomerular damage. Many forms of glomerulonephritis involve immune complex deposition within the glomeruli. These complexes trigger an inflammatory cascade, activating the complement system and recruiting immune cells. This leads to proliferation of glomerular cells and the release of damaging substances. The crucial glomerular basement membrane is compromised, leading to its increased permeability. This explains why we see significant proteinuria and hematuria. Ultimately, this structural and functional damage reduces the glomerular filtration rate, causing waste products to build up in the blood. Understanding these cellular and molecular events is key to grasping the disease progression. For renal calculi, advanced diagnostics go beyond basic X-rays. A non-contrast CT scan is the gold standard for its precision. We also perform a 24-hour urine collection to analyze metabolic factors contributing to stone formation, like calcium and oxalate levels. In terms of management, medical expulsion therapy using alpha blockers can help pass smaller stones. For larger or persistent stones, extracorporeal shock wave lithotripsy, ESWL, uses shock waves to break them up. Ureteroscopy involves inserting a scope to directly remove or laser fragment stones. For very large or complex stones, percutaneous nephrolithotomy, PCNL, is a surgical option, directly accessing the kidney. These advanced techniques offer targeted and effective solutions. Chronic kidney disease, or CKD, comes with a host of severe complications. Anemia is common due to the kidney's inability to produce erythropoietin, a hormone vital for red blood cell production. Patients also suffer from mineral and bone disorder, CKD-MBD, where imbalances in calcium, phosphate, and parathyroid hormone lead to weak bones and increased fracture risk. Cardiovascular disease is a leading cause of death in CKD patients, driven by persistent hypertension, fluid overload, and inflammation. Furthermore, electrolyte imbalances like hyperkalemia and metabolic acidosis can be life-threatening. Neurological issues and a weakened immune system also significantly impact the patient's quality of life, highlighting the systemic effects of kidney failure. Let's tackle some hard questions. First, explain how immune complex deposition leads to reduced GFR in glomerulonephritis. Second, compare and contrast the indications for ESWL and PCNL in managing renal calculi. Third, describe the mechanism by which CKD causes renal osteodystrophy. Fourth, how does metabolic acidosis develop in chronic kidney disease, and what are its clinical implications? Fifth, a patient with glomerulonephritis presents with severe edema and hyperlipidemia. Which syndrome is likely present, and what is its hallmark? Sixth, what is the role of 24-hour urine collection in the advanced diagnosis of renal calculi? And finally, discuss the interconnectedness of hypertension and CKD in a bidirectional manner. These questions require detailed, analytical answers. Welcome to the hardest level, where we explore the cutting edge of nephrology. We'll dive into molecular mechanisms, engineering marvels, and the future of kidney care, crucial for competitive exams like NEET. At the molecular level, glomerular diseases often stem from podocyte dysfunction. Podocytes, with their intricate foot processes and slit diaphragms, are the final barrier to protein loss. Mutations in genes encoding slit diaphragm proteins like nephrin and podocin can cause severe congenital nephrotic syndromes, highlighting their critical role. The complement system, a part of innate immunity, can also be a culprit. In conditions like C3 glomerulopathy, its dysregulation leads to excessive activation and deposition, causing direct glomerular damage. Furthermore, autoimmune mechanisms, where the body's own immune system attacks glomerular components and specific genetic predispositions, are increasingly recognized as fundamental drivers of various forms of glomerulonephritis. Let's explore the engineering marvels of dialysis. Hemodialysis is an extracorporeal treatment, meaning blood is filtered outside the body. Blood flows through a dialyzer, an artificial kidney containing thousands of hollow, semi-permeable fibers. The ingenious part is the countercurrent flow. Blood and dialysate flow in opposite directions. This maximizes the concentration gradient, allowing for highly efficient diffusion of waste products like urea, creatinine, and electrolytes from the blood into the dialysate. Ultrafiltration, removing excess water, is achieved by precisely controlling pressure gradients across the membrane. Peritoneal dialysis, on the other hand, uses the patient's own peritoneal membrane as the filter. Dialysate, rich in glucose, is instilled into the abdominal cavity. Solutes and water move across the peritoneal capillaries into the dialysate via diffusion and osmosis, driven by the glucose concentration. Both methods rely on fundamental principles of membrane transport to mimic kidney function. Renal transplantation represents a pinnacle of medical achievement but presents significant immunological challenges. Donor matching is paramount, involving not just above blood group compatibility but also human leukocyte antigen, or HLA, typing. A closer HLA match significantly reduces the risk of rejection. Patients require lifelong immunosuppression, typically with calcineurin inhibitors, antiproliferative agents, and corticosteroids, to prevent their immune system from attacking the new kidney. Rejection comes in different forms: hyperacute, almost immediate and mediated by preformed antibodies; acute, occurring days to months later, often T-cell or antibody-mediated and frequently treatable; and chronic, a gradual, multifactorial loss of function over years. Beyond rejection, transplant recipients face increased risks of infections, malignancies, and cardiovascular disease due to immunosuppression, underscoring the delicate balance required for long-term graft survival. Ethical considerations in organ allocation and donation also remain critical aspects of this life-saving procedure. The future of nephrology is incredibly exciting, with several emerging therapies on the horizon. Stem cell therapy holds promise for kidney regeneration, potentially repairing damaged tissue or even growing new kidney structures using mesenchymal or induced pluripotent stem cells. Gene therapy aims to correct underlying genetic mutations responsible for inherited kidney diseases such as Alport syndrome or polycystic kidney disease, offering a curative approach. Bioartificial kidneys, which combine artificial filtration membranes with living kidney cells, are being developed to mimic both the filtration and metabolic functions of a healthy kidney, potentially offering a more complete solution than traditional dialysis. Nanotechnology is being explored for targeted drug delivery, allowing therapeutic agents to reach kidney cells more effectively while minimizing systemic side effects. Finally, personalized medicine, leveraging an individual's genetic and biomarker profile, promises to tailor treatment strategies for optimal outcomes in complex kidney disorders. These innovations are poised to transform kidney care. Let's tackle the first 5 hardest questions. First, explain the critical role of the slit diaphragm and its associated proteins, nephrin and podocin, in maintaining the glomerular filtration barrier and how their dysfunction leads to proteinuria. Second, detail the engineering principles behind the countercurrent flow mechanism in a hemodialyzer and its significance for efficient waste removal. Third, discuss the immunological basis for HLA matching in renal transplantation and differentiate between hyperacute and acute rejection mechanisms. Fourth, how do calcineurin inhibitors prevent transplant rejection at a molecular level, and what are their significant side effects? And fifth, envision a future scenario where bioartificial kidneys are widely available. What are the key biological and engineering challenges that would need to be overcome for their successful implementation? Here are the final 5 hardest questions. Sixth, compare and contrast the advantages and disadvantages of hemodialysis versus peritoneal dialysis from a patient's lifestyle and clinical outcome perspective. Seventh, analyze the role of the alternative complement pathway in the pathogenesis of C3 glomerulopathy and how its dysregulation leads to kidney damage. Eighth, what are the ethical considerations surrounding organ donation and allocation in the context of renal transplantation, particularly regarding living versus deceased donors? Ninth, discuss the potential of gene editing technologies like CRISPR-Cas9 in treating inherited kidney diseases, outlining both its promise and current limitations. And 10th, how might personalized medicine approaches, utilizing genomic and proteomic data, revolutionize the diagnosis and treatment of complex kidney disorders like focal segmental glomerulosclerosis? These questions require a comprehensive and insightful understanding. And that brings us to the end of our in-depth exploration of excretory disorders. We've covered everything from basic definitions to advanced molecular mechanisms and future therapies. I hope this journey has deepened your understanding and sparked your curiosity for biology. For more such comprehensive and engaging educational content, make sure to visit synapse.omaps.in. Don't forget to like this video, share it with your friends, and subscribe to our channel for continuous learning. Keep striving for excellence, and see you in the next session.